Mag ik het?
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Okay, so we will continue with our Panhavara, and we were talking about the object condition, Aramana Apaccayo, and we discussed the wholesome to wholesome, kutuku relationship, and wholesome to unwholesome. And so now we will look at the wholesome and abhyakata, the indeterminate. And I hope maybe we can finish today the Aramana. So we will go quite quickly because there's a lot of repetition and many things should be already familiar to you. So, well, first of all, the general statement. So there is this answer that wholesome state is related to indeterminate state by object condition. And then we have a classified answer. So say the examples of how wholesome states are related to indeterminate states by object condition. So first of all, for Arahant, when Arahant emerges from the Arahant path process, he reviews the path. So this is a review knowledge that we have seen previously. But for Arahant, as we talked before, only functional jhavanas, so abhyakata, indeterminate jhavanas arise. So that means that the jhavana that reviews the path is indeterminate, but the path itself is wholesome. Just to see the process again. So attainment of the path, we see the bhavangas first, then we have mind-adverting consciousness, then we have 4 wholesome jhavanas, the sense sphere wholesome jhavanas. Then there is magga, the path consciousness that cuts the defilements. So for Arahant, it will cut all the remaining defilements, no more defilements after. And then we have a fruition consciousness, which is a vipaka consciousness, which is a resultant consciousness after this magga, and then bhavanga again. So when the Arahant reviews this process, so after this process, when he emerges, he can look back and review it. So his jhavanas, now since he's Arahant, his jhavanas will be indeterminate, will be functional only, not wholesome. But the magga, the path consciousness, is wholesome. So in this way, the wholesome object, this wholesome state becomes an object for abhyakata, for indeterminate state, for functional state, right? And in the same way, he reviews, that means Arahant reviews the wholesome acts formerly done, right? So the same, reviewing consciousness, again, well, here is another scheme, but actually the same, reviewing consciousness of the past wholesome deeds. So he will not do the whatever actions he's doing now are not wholesome anymore, in the sense that they will not generate any future result, but in the past he has done wholesome acts, so he can review them. Okay, and the next one is kusala manichato dukkhato anato vipassati. That's also only about the Arahant. So when Arahant is practicing vipassana on the kusala, but again, this kusala will be either the past kusala that he has done, or the kusala of other people or other beings in the present or in the future, whatever he's contemplating. So the contemplation process for him is abhyakata, is kiriya, is functional, but the object is wholesome. So in this way, the wholesome object is an object for consciousness that arises during vipassana practice for Arahant. And by the knowledge of penetration into others' mind, the Arahant knows the wholesome minds of other beings. So the same we have seen before. But is the only difference that Arahant's mind is only functional. Arahant's jhana is only functional. Then the next point is about the Sekha and Puthujjana, the learner or common worldling. So the learners, we will look at them a little bit more in a few minutes. The common word links are just we, like we. Okay, so when Seka or Puduchana practice Vipassana on the wholesome states. When after this practice, after this process of Vipassana process, arise Tadaramana, that Tadaramana is resultant, is Abhyakata, is indeterminate state. Okay, and the next one is same. So, but the only difference is the process is unwholesome. So, when the same Seka or Puduchana, that is the learner or common worldling, indulges in a bad way with attachment, indulges in kusala, and on account of that, there arises lust, wrong views, doubt, restlessness, or dissatisfaction. When that process is finished and Tadaramana arises, then that Tadaramana takes the same object, the same wholesome object, but the consciousness is a vipaka consciousness, is a resultant consciousness. So these are two similar, and I'll explain them by showing the actual process. If we look here, so this is a simple sense sphere process, mind or sense sphere process. So what's happening normally? So we have bhavanga, which connects the different processes, whatever happened in us. We have bhavanga, that's a resultant state, which has its same object throughout the life for one being. And so vibrating, arresting bhavanga, then the mano dvara vajna, the minded working consciousness, when the object has come, some say wholesome object comes in contact with the mind door, and so the mind adverts to that wholesome consciousness, and then so we have a wholesome the wholesome state as object, and then jhavana can arise, either wholesome or unwholesome. So in the text just now we have seen, so when one practices vipassana, wholesome jhavana arises. Okay, so with that wholesome object, one can practice, contemplate anicca, dukkha, anatta of that wholesome state. Okay, so, or one can indulge in it with attachment, with wrong views, and his jhavana, so the consciousness that fully knows, that fully experiences that wholesome object, is unwholesome. But in any case, when this object, the wholesome object, is very clear for the mind, then after... Coming. Okay, sorry, the connection failed, so we have to start connect again. Okay, so so in any case, when the object is very clear, then after the last jhavana, after the seventh jhavana, the mind doesn't go directly into bhavanga, but there arises the consciousness which is already resultant, so neither wholesome nor unwholesome. Okay. Yes. There is not much I can do about the internet connection, but just a moment. Put outside, maybe that. Maybe. Okay, I hope the connection will be better when the phone is outside. Maybe it will help. Okay, so the mind doesn't go back to bhavanga with bhavanga's object, but it's still like in inertia. It still takes the same object, but the kind of the mind that arises at the time is already vipaka, is already resultant mind. So we call it tadaramana, the mind that has the same object as jhavana, but already resultant. So that what was the statement, previous statement about that in whatever mental process with wholesome javana or unwholesome javana that has wholesome object, when tadaramana arises, tadaramana is vipaka, is resultant abhyakata state. Its object is wholesome. So, and this that object is an object condition for tadaramana to arise. Okay, let's look again just to make sure we understand all and read the text actually. So for the normal people or for learners, when they practice insight into anicca dukkha anatta of the wholesome states of the kusala, when wholesome state has ceased, the resultant state arises as registering consciousness. Okay, so registering consciousness, that means tadaramana. Tadaramana is vipaka, and the object is wholesome state. So, and next, that was the wholesome javana, that was vipassana practice. And then learners or common worldlings enjoy and delight in the wholesome state. All right, enjoy and delight, that means they will have unwholesome javana. Taking it as an object arises lust, wrong views, arises doubt, arises restlessness, dissatisfaction. When unwholesome state has ceased, so that unwholesome jhana has ceased, the resultant arises as registering. Okay, so there follows tadaramana, which is vipaka, which is abhyakata, and it has a wholesome object. All right. So the next point is about the arupa jhanas. We have seen them already, so we should be familiar with what is what. So wholesome infinity of space is related to resultant or functional infinity of consciousness by object condition. And wholesome nothingness is related to resultant or functional neither perception nor non-perception by object condition. So we have seen this immaterial jhanas with the object, this immaterial attainment. So we have seen them in the relation kusala to kusala, wholesome to wholesome. Here, the difference is only that wholesome to resultant or functional. Okay, so functional means for arahant. So functional immaterial jhanas arise only in the continuum of arahant. And the resultant means that when the wholesome infinity of space of wholesome, this wholesome is taken as an object for a resultant consciousness. That means when taking a rebirth, when a being gets a new rebirth in the next life. So that is the object. So when one is practicing, say, arupa jhanas, and he still has the attainment just before death, this karma of this practice can give as a result, will give as a result a rebirth in the immaterial sphere. And at that time, his bhavanga will be a resultant, say, infinity of consciousness. If he practiced infinity of consciousness, so his resultant state will be the infinity of consciousness, and that will take as its object the wholesome infinity of space. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, these are same as we have seen in the wholesome to wholesome. And then the next one. Okay, we also have seen similar, but there is some differences here. Okay, wholesome aggregates are related to the mind advertence, to knowledge of penetration into others' mind, knowledge of remembrance of past existences, knowledge of rebirth according to one's karma, knowledge of future existences by object condition. Okay, so these knowledges, we have looked at them again when we were talking about wholesome to wholesome. But here, the statement is about the indeterminate state, and what it actually here, what it talks about. It talks about not these states themselves, but about the mind or advertent consciousness before them. So the mind that adverts to these higher knowledges, it's indeterminate, it's functional. So manodvara avajana, the mind adverting consciousness, is just functional. And in this case, it relates to kusala kanda, to wholesome aggregates as kutubia. And in fact, when we read this Pali, it's not completely clear how to take these words. Should we take them separately, or should we take them together? Or is this avajana, this advertence, is just another factor? And so is it like kusala kanda is related to this knowledge, kusala kanda is related to this knowledge, and this and this, and to avajana by object condition? That is actually how Venerable Narada takes it in his translation of Patana. But I looked in the commentary, and the commentary doesn't take it like that. The commentary takes from this sentence, it takes only avajana. Here I have translated the relevant part. So knowledge of penetration into others' minds, etc. So all these knowledges should be connected to the advertence. And the wholesome aggregates are related to the advertence, to these knowledges by object condition. So that is what is meant by this statement. Now, of course, we could add that just from our knowledge for Arahant, also when Arahant adverts his minds or directs his mind to these high knowledges, and they have their object, the wholesome aggregates, then the relationship will be kutubya, will be kusala to functional indeterminate. Okay, and now we can look at the unwholesome to unwholesome. So that was the wholesome to wholesome, wholesome to unwholesome, wholesome to abhyakata. Now, wholesome to unwholesome to unwholesome. Okay, so the first is, of course, just simply the statement that unwholesome state is related to unwholesome state by object condition. So it's possible. And then the text gives us examples. So one enjoys and delights in lust. Taking it as object arises lust, wrong views, doubt, restlessness, and dissatisfaction. Okay, so actually this one should be blue as well. Shall I? I don't see now. But anyway, these two also unwholesome here, enjoys and delights. As we have seen before, when one was enjoying and delighting in kusala, so in the same way in akusala, say, well, when one is, if we can take it literally, so raga means lust, say sensual lust. So when one enjoys and delights, he only produces more and more unwholesome states. So he takes as object this lust, and he's so happy about his lust, and it's so delightful, or any greed, whatever is arising in us when we say even eating. And we're delighting also, this is so nice. So we're so happy about this, so about the states. And so we're only increasing our raga, our tanha. And the same wrong view may arise. Okay, it's my lust, or it's my object of lust, or this is I, say this kind of wrong views, or even the opposite wrong views when say not mine, or whatever. There's nothing good, nothing bad, and so let's do anything. And how great, we can do whatever, we can indulge in all these sensual pleasures, and we are free to do. There will be no future bad result from this. Say like hedonist, let's enjoy just this life and as much as we can. So these kind of things. And doubts can also arise, and restlessness obviously can arise from all this agitation from sensual pleasures, and dissatisfaction obviously as well. So in the same way, one can indulge in the wrong views. Just the same example with the hedonism. I don't know. This is what comes to my mind, because I have met some people who actually live like this and think like that, like this, and it's quite surprising to me, at least, and strange. But nevertheless, people are quite attached to this kind of views, because they allow them they justify their style of living, their enjoyment, and unfortunately, that's the only enjoyment that they know. the enjoyment of sensual pleasures. And so, let's say on hedonistic side, but even in the same way, one can delight in the views of eternal self, say, and attached to there is, I don't know, soul or God or whatever, and when I die, we will unite, and we will be forever, and these kind of things, and which is wrong view, and one can delight in it for sure, and by that only increase the views and increase the greed and increase restlessness and doubt, dissatisfaction. And then the next is vicikiccha, is doubt. And here you can notice the difference. So the text was talking about the enjoyment and delight when it was talking about raga and ditthi, so about lust and the wrong views. But in the case of doubt, it doesn't talk about enjoyment and delight. So on the deeper level, the mind, the doubt is not something the mind can enjoy. It's not a very enjoyable state. If you have been in doubt, you know that it's not something that you would invite and you would delight in. Oh, it's so good, I don't know what to do, you know. So, but it can provoke further doubts. It can provoke wrong views and restlessness and dissatisfaction. And the same about restlessness and dissatisfaction. One doesn't indulge in it and doesn't enjoy having these states. Well, with the dissatisfaction, obviously, when we are not happy, it's difficult to be happy about the being unhappy. But with restlessness, maybe on the surface it can look like somebody is so restless and doing so many things, and you know, and because he likes to do this, and that's but if we look deeper, not just on the surface, but deeper at the mind, then we will see that restlessness, that is really hardly possible to delight in restlessness. And we all, deep inside, we all want to be happy and peaceful, and restlessness is just opposite of that. It's opposite of peacefulness and happiness. All right. And then the next one is talking about the learners, the sekha. And so akutuku. So learners review the eradicated defilements. They review the suppressed defilements, and they know the defilements they indulged in before. Okay, so sekha means already a noble person, but not yet an arahant. So the Sotapanna, Sakatagami, Anagami. And I have written out the defilements as they are abundant gradually. So for stream enter, the three fetters abandon: the personality belief, the doubt, and adherence to rules and rituals. And so no more belief in I. But still, there is still sense of I, but there is no more belief in any eternal I, or any I that is eradicated after death or anything. So there is a right view only, and there is no more doubt in the sense, no more doubt in the Dhamma. And adherence to rules and rituals means that you understand that the goal of the holy life is reached not by performance of rituals, not by adherence to rules. So the path is something. Well, this doesn't mean that they deny the value of this. This may be valuable for us as a support on the path, but they will not really take us there. Just by performing some rituals or just by adhering to some rules, we will not get the goal. We have to do something more than that. And they also eradicate the taint of wrong view. So the asavas, there are 4 asavas. Kama asava, the taint of sensual desire. The bhava asava, the taint of attachment to existence. And the ditthi asava, the taint of wrong views. And avijja asava, the taint of ignorance. So of those 4, he abandons the ditthi asava, the wrong view. So there is no more, he will not have wrong views arising in him. And asava means actually the phenomena that makes us to be inclined to continue the existence, to exist, basically. So the kama asava, the sensual desire, that's something that is that makes us to incline towards the sensual objects, towards sensual experience. Or bhava asava, we all have this attachment to life. We think that actually existence is good. We want to exist. Everybody wants. Nobody, obviously nobody wants to die. Yes, but even if you would tell people, normal people, right? Okay, so you can attain this and that. You will not be born again. There will be no more life. Do you think they want that? I actually have a friend, and one time I shared with him that I have met one nun who told me that when she's contemplating her future and when she's meditating intensively, she sees no future, no more future. So the last life. So I share with this friend, he's not like a meditator or anything. And I met this nun, and it's possible. Imagine, it's possible. It's really possible. It's so inspiring. And his reaction was, how boring. No more life, how boring, Oh, listen, there is this cosmos and there is this and that, and so it's so interesting and everything, and your normal life is very boring. So we have this taint of inclination and thinking that actually life is good. Yes, it has its own some downsides, of course, yes, but in general, it's worth it. So that's an bhavasava. Our attachment to existence, the taint of attachment to existence. And then Dithasava, all these wrong views like annihilation or, this extreme, or Sasataditi, the eternal life, eternal self, whatever. We all like to think so. And by thinking so, we only tying knots, more and more knots for us to be trapped here, actually. And avijja asava is the root asava. So it's all the others arise because we don't know. We don't know. We see that we don't see impermanent as permanent, permanent as impermanent, or we don't see impermanent as permanent. We don't see what is non-self. Oh, what is, now I'm sorry. So we have this perversion of vision. So instead of seeing impermanence, non-self, dissatisfaction, this unsatisfactoriness, and non-beauty, we only see all the opposite, mostly. And that's one of the manifestations of our avijjasa, which keeps us trapped in samsara. Okay, so that's so of these 4, Sotapanna eradicates the first one. This one, the ditthi asava, the taint of wrong views, and he also eradicates from the chittasakas, from the 52 chittasakas, he eradicates the ditthi. All that's from the 50. From the 14 unwholesome chittasakas, he eradicates the ditthi, the wrong views, and the doubt. No more doubt. No more doubt in Buddha, Dhamma, or Sangha. And the commentaries add envy and possessiveness, but that's already like a commentary. So Michamacharya, the commentaries say also Sotapanna abundance. As for other ones, so we have one returner, and that's a katagami. He doesn't eradicate anything, but he weakens significantly, weakens sensual lust and ill will. And the next on the next stage, the non-returner fully eradicates these two. So fully eradicates kamaraga and the ill will. And so he will eradicate the one more asava, that's kama asava, the sensual desire, no more sensual desire. Good or bad? Good or bad? So you don't enjoy your food anymore. Good or bad? Okay, or the and from the unwholesome chittasikas, no more dosa, no more hatred. I think this is so good. No more hatred. And worry, no more worry. Okay, so, and as well as greed taking a sensory object, that means kamaraga. So these are eradicated by these learners. So when they emerge from their path, the process of path, when they attain higher level, so because it's a next step, significant experience, the vision of the reality that cuts the defilement. So it's only normally, it's just normal that the mind looks back and says, okay, what has been cut? So okay, but after I know this, now I have seen this, so surely this will not arise anymore. Cannot, because now I know. But there's still this, and this, yes, I still have. Or if not now, then later, by checking again and again the mind, one will know, oh, I still have this, still this arise. Okay, camera I still have. Okay, oh, still have. Okay, so continue working. Okay. So okay, now back to our conditions. So unwholesome to wholesome. How the unwholesome states are related to wholesome. So we have seen just now we started with the sekha, how they review. Now we see sekha or putujana. So learners or common worldlings, they practice insight into impermanency, suffering, and impersonality of the unwholesome states. So basically, vipassana practice, vipassanti, on akusala dhammas by sekhas or putujanas. So when they practice vipassana, when sekha or putujana practices vipassana, that's wholesome process. So wholesome arises with an unwholesome object. So unwholesome object conditions that wholesome consciousness. And the next one, it's again about these learners and putujanas. By the knowledge of penetration into others' mind, they know the unwholesome mind of the other being. So same as we have seen. So this is a wholesome process, and the other being's mind is unwholesome. So this unwholesome mind is an object for wholesome mind. Okay, the next one. Again, we have seen this, but the difference is the object. So unwholesome aggregates are related to all these higher knowledges, knowing of others' mind and remembrance of past existences and their birth according to one's karma and future existences by object conditions. So same. The only difference is that now the object is unwholesome. And we are still talking about the sekha and putujana, so the mind is wholesome. Now, unwholesome states are related to indeterminate state. Okay, so that's the next point. And the examples of that, Araha, so Arahant reviews the eradicated defilements. He knows the defilements he indulged before. And okay, so the next sentence, he's just practicing vipassana on unwholesome states. His unwholesome states in the path, or the unwholesome states of present but externally, that means in other beings, or in the future of other beings, obviously. So for Arahant, the defilements which he eradicates, the remaining 5 samyojanas, I didn't really make it. Oh, I did make it clear. So, which are the attachment to fine material existence, that in the fine material Brahma world, the attachment to immaterial existence, or desire actually for immaterial existence to exist in immaterial jhana worlds, conceit. So I, the notion of I in comparison to others, and restlessness and ignorance. And of these five, maybe that the nun that I mentioned who shared with me this her seeing of her future, she was saying what struck her the most is the absence of restlessness, no more restlessness. She says this is a very, very strange and very, very peaceful. They're just very strange. So I hope all of us one day can know from our experience what means no more restlessness ever. So this is my wish for all. And so the Arahant destroys the remaining two asavas. So we talked about the attachment to existence, bhava asava, and this is attachment to existence in fine material sphere or immaterial sphere, because the Anagami already eradicated the kama raga, so which was connected to the attachment to existence in the kama world, in the sensual sphere. But Arahant also cuts all the other spheres and the taint of ignorance, so he knows, he has seen it. And the remaining unwholesome chitasikas also go. So no more moha, no more shamelessness, no more fearlessness of wrongdoing, no more restlessness, no more conceit, no more sloth and torpor. But no more sloth and torpor doesn't mean that Arahant doesn't sleep. So even the Buddha in one of the suttas, one ascetic asked him if he sleeps, and he said yes. Actually, in the summer, in the middle of the summer when it's very, very hot, after sleep, yes, after eating, he would lay down. So that doesn't mean that Arahant doesn't sleep, even though these are eradicated. So less than a minute left, and we have not finished object condition. Okay, so next time we will finish. And for now, I just I wish you a very good Sunday.